FluidMath has math answer boxes, which allows for self-checking of open-ended math questions. To add these self-checking boxes, up at the top of your screen, there's an Insert button. Click that and choose Math Answer Boxes out of the drop-down menu. You can now move the box by clicking on the purple bar and placing it in the location that you want it. In the bottom right of the box, you can now resize it by clicking on it and dragging it to where you want it. If you want an extra box added, click on the Insert box and repeat the process. You'll notice that the second box came in the same size as the first box once I had formatted it. That makes it easier to format your page. I'm now going to repeat the process to add all the rest of my boxes. At this point, I will want to write down my expected answers for what I want my students to place in each one of these self-checking boxes. I can use MathWrite or MathType and even draw. Once I have confirmed that the system recognized my writing to what I actually think that I wrote, then I can now see what it looks like in the student view. To see the student view, I click on the three dots up on the top of my screen, and then I'm going to choose Show Student View. Notice that the answers are now missing, and it says Write Expected Answer here. Now, as a student, I could write in the answer as a 7. Notice that it tells me that's not the expected answer. So I can scribble to erase, and I can write my answer in here and here. Both answers are what were expected. However, in this one, if I were to write it as -3/1, that it was not the expected answer, but -3/1 is actually equivalent. There are times where an equivalent answer might be acceptable to you, and other times where that might be an indication to your students that that is on the right track, but you're not quite there, that you expect them to have green checks for them to be considered correct. That will be something you can communicate with your kids when you're creating your assignments. Now, it is important if you've moved to the student view that you clear out what you wrote in the student view so that it doesn't get pushed to your students with those answers that you wrote in the student view. Now I'm going to jump back to my teacher view, so I'm going to turn off the student view. And it's not necessary to go to the student view, but that is an option if you would like to see what it looks like in the student view. Your next step is to assign this document to your students. You will need to choose whether or not you want your feedback to be immediate, which is important for student learning because it immediately tells your students whether or not they are correct. Or you'll need to choose for delayed feedback, which might be important during some assessments. That means students don't get that feedback of whether or not they're right or wrong until you return your work back to them. It is also important to note that these are math answer boxes, therefore they're intended to check math and not necessarily letters and words. This is a summary of how to use FluidMath answer boxes.